we were in a house, and my roommates decided to pull the trigger on a dog. A dog.
Oh, man. These dogs, if you get them, they're playful. They need walks. You got to keep up with the food. You got to do all of that. But just that dog will love you unconditionally as long as you love it. And honestly, the most stressed day, you guys had a bad exam, bad anything, that dog should come home to be your priority even sometimes over the next study, and just give it all the love in the world, because that's all that dog's looking for. Because remember this, you have a million things going on in your life that could be very important, especially you going to be graduating college and getting out. To that dog, you four guys are the most important thing in its world, and always remember that. I had this vision, actually, if you remember, maybe you're way too young for this, and I could be outdating myself, which is scary. There was a sitcom on for a long time when I was younger called Everybody Loves Raymond. You can probably see it in reruns today.
There's reruns for sure.
Okay, so you know Everybody Loves Raymond. I'm not completely outdating myself.
No.
All right, so
You're all right.
So the show takes place on Long Island. Ray Romano, it plays a sports writer for Newsday, which is our big newspaper here on Long Island. And knowing that took place on Long Island, knowing how much I love that show, and knowing that he was a sports writer, actually in a weird way, which kind of speaks to me, I got my influence from a sitcom of all things. So somebody, grabbed me aside when I was in college and said, hey, look, there's not going to be much money in newspapers anymore, unfortunately. That was like the early sign of newspapers would be dying, which I was like, what are you talking about? That's what I grew up reading. I loved box scores. I loved all of this. How is that possible? And then they said, your personality's made for, radio, sports radio. And where we are, and I'm sure wherever you grew up, I guess in the Boston area, there's plenty of sports radio to be had. And I grew up listening from Mike and the Mad Dog and everything else on WFAN in New York. And I said, yeah, I could definitely do that. And I got into radio in college.
It's so funny that, maybe the aliens that are listening may not know the backstory of Everybody Loves Raymond and how it influenced your career.
Right. But again, if you listen to the DA show and you know anything about me, the idea, DA often makes a joke, my life's one giant Kevin James sitcom. So to know that I, basically got my life's goal from a Ray Romano sitcom is it just speaks to exactly who I am. I am a full-blown on-air talent, is what they call it, obviously, paid to do so while also producing. So I do two jobs at once, which, contrary to popular belief, if you listen to the DA show, I do work hard. Sometimes some things slip between the cracks. But so basically, I will wake up for a show that starts at 6 a.m. Eastern. Pre-pandemic, I would wake up by 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would be in the office by 4:30. Obviously, things are a little different right now because we have set up home studios. We will be back at some point in the near future, but the only thing that's changed in that aspect is I do get an extra hour of sleep. So basically waking up, let's say 4:30, rolling down, getting right to work around then. Food and cooking, I will tell you this till the cows come home. There are a lot of people who say they can't do it. And to me, I say that's bull. It doesn't mean you're going to be a great cook. And I'm sure there are people listening whose moms may be terrible cooks and moms may be great cooks. The bottom line is this. Practice makes perfect if you care enough to experiment. My next step for you would be, you look up some recipes, sure. Look up easy recipes, right? Like find things that you like when you've eaten out. Like my wife always says, a good starting step, find good Mexican foods. Tacos are easy. Empanadas are easy. And just start experimenting. Then from there you'll learn and you'll see ingredients that you would have never bought at a store. Be like, what is this? What is this? You start buying spices and maybe you get a spice rack. There are a lot of ways where you don't just have to be bland or anything like that. I just think you will grow your arsenal the more you try and the more you're willing to branch out. Know that there are things you like when you order out. Try to find ways to cook them. And then from there, take your own spins on them. And don't expect to become, Rachel Ray or whoever the best cook you think it is overnight. It's going to take some time, that's all. But find things that are easy first and then take those easy things and put spins on them and see. You're going to fail a lot. There are going to be times you bite into something, I didn't really like the way this came out. But in the end, you're going to find success rates and find hits. And it's going to lead you to learn how to cook other things. So just keep up the practice makes perfect and just know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and don't be afraid to be bold.
Your best piece of advice for young broadcasters and content creators?
No job is too small. Always be yes. And remember, nobody, and this goes for anybody in sports or people in news or people in music, whatever your flavor is of media you want to get into, when you first break into the business, understand this in the most respectful way possible. Nobody cares about your opinion. They care about your willingness to work. Take internships, go work for no money, get an internship, do all of that. But when you're there, be noticed by your level of work, anything I could do, and your non-annoyance. Because the moment you start annoying people when you're new at a job by, having to throw your opinion on there because you think that's what's going to make you important and make you count, is the moment people tune you out and want to get you out the door and won't let you climb the ladder. You have responsibility, yes, right? You're not rich. You're not going to be rich right away. You still are young enough that your mistakes you make can be excused at times, as long as they're not the most colossal mistake that sink you forever. Just enjoy it. Like, I know that's so simple, but just enjoy it, because you have so many stresses you aren't even aware of that await you. So many worries in the world are, and how many worries in the world have kids lived through in 2020? So many worries in the world that are come your way. And you have so much time in your life to worry that you're setting yourself up for success and setting yourself up for, trying to limit those worries. But at the same time, man, like, you're never going to get this year in college back. You're never going to get any of the years you spent in college back. Just embrace it. If you're going to make mistakes, now's the time to make them. But just be happy and enjoy it, because your stresses are only going to go up and you will never get that time back.
Number 4, grown men wearing sports jerseys, in or out?
In. You got to see the closet I have downstairs. In. I never understand when people think they're too good to wear jerseys. Oh, these guys are younger than me. Why would I wear the name on the back? Look, you're wearing it because it's the laundry of the team you root for, right? Like, you're a fan. You're a fan because you love and breathe and wear that team.
Since we're in Wisconsin, your favorite cheese?
Oh, I love this question. This might be my favorite question I ever got in an interview ever. My favorite. All right, so I'll give you 2 answers then. If we're going strictly sandwich, I will continue to say it's Swiss. Maybe that's not everybody's cup of tea. It has a little tang or whatever you want to call it to it. But I think Swiss on a deli meat sandwich or on a chicken cutlet or on grilled chicken is the perfect. It melts fine. It tastes cold fine. A lot of the yellow cheeses can kind of end up tasting a lot alike, and it's hard to decipher. Swiss stands out a little different, but I am a big, and this includes back in their games, big on a meat and cheese board placed in front of you. And if that's the case, a little sharp provolone with some Italian meats on a cracker, something like that, oh, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Growing up, I always wanted to be an athlete, but when you are clearly the pudgy guy that can't put down fruit roll-ups and Smart Food white cheddar popcorn, you have to come to grips pretty early that you're not going to end up being the center fielder for the New York Yankees one day. So basically, I don't know, when I went to school, man, like I was always like the funny fat kid, if you will. So that was always my gimmick. I always kind of had personality, but with that, the one thing I dove way more into than ever really studying on tests were sports. I mean, for a very early young age, I could tell you that my father taught me how to read, not by cracking open a book or anything like that, but by going through box scores of baseball games and stuff like that. And I distinctly remember, 5 years old, 6 years old, and I'm reading what Don Mattingly's batting average is, and that's how I'm adding up numbers and doing all that. So, it was ingrained in my brain. Sports were so early that there was such a passion, and when you combine that with my not being able to put food down, let's say, or lack of given athletic ability anyway, I need to find something in my life to do where I knew I'd be happy. I knew I wanted to be involved with sports, but I knew it wasn't going to be on the playing field.
In the midst of my DA show fandom, the only creative, unique idea I could come up with was to do sports, but also mix in food, because they do go together like a driver and a shotgun rider. So,
by the way, that's a great analogy. A driver and a shotgun rider is exactly how they go. I don't know how you could be an athlete and don't have, or not, forget an athlete, that's the wrong word. How you could be a sports fan, a sports viewer, and don't have some kind of opinion on food. Like, to me, like, for instance, I'll just tell you, we're taping this on a Friday. Tonight in New York, the Yankees play the Mets in the Subway Series as a doubleheader. The conversation between, me and my close family and friends is already, what are we ordering for food? Like, it just goes together, right? Like, we do on a football Sunday or college football Saturday, the NCAA tournament, how is it not, hey, we doing wings today? We doing pizzas? What are we doing? Like, the food aspect goes hand in hand with watching sports. Of course it does.
Hand in hand.